In 2021, the Jacksonville Jaguars went 3-14, and I'm gonna be real with you guys. I was not expecting Jacksonville to be as bad as what they were last year. And I understand that many people have reservations anytime a former college football head coach becomes the head coach of an NFL team, but I thought that Urban Meyer would have been different. And it's funny because he didn't even last the whole entire season. And then what's even more funny is that, did you guys know that Urban Meyer has a book about leadership? How do you have a book about leadership, but you're an awful leader? That makes absolutely no sense. I guess they just let anybody get a book nowadays. They need to let me write a book. But you bring in Doug Pederson as your new head coach. And I think Doug Pederson is what Jacksonville needs. Jacksonville needs a proven winner. They don't need a hot coordinator candidate who gets his first ever head coaching gig, who needs to prove himself, is learning on the job. They need somebody who has won at a high level. And that's Doug Pederson. Doug Pederson is a Super Bowl winning coach. He delivered a Super Bowl to Philadelphia, and he was pretty successful there. Now, although his tenure kind of soured out, I definitely think that he is what Jacksonville needs. And I think that he's going to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence. And my best case scenario for Jacksonville this year is 9-8. And here's why. If Jacksonville can win 9 games, I think they potentially could win the division. And a lot of you guys may laugh at that because I know when you look at this roster on paper, it's not going to blow anybody away. But think about it this way. Trevor Lawrence was the #1 overall pick not too long ago. If he ends up improving, and he will, he easily can become the best quarterback in this division. And I think if that happens, we could see him have the kind of performance that Andrew Luck had really early into his career with the Indianapolis Colts. Because the AFC South at the time that Andrew Luck entered the league was one of the worst divisions in the NFL. And when you look at the whole entire AFC South as a whole, it's not really that great. All the quarterbacks, either such as Davis Mills, have something still to prove. You have Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, 2 aging quarterbacks who are on the decline. So if Trevor Lawrence steps up his play this year and he ends up becoming the quarterback that we all believe that he would have been last season, right away as the #1 overall pick, I think that that could be good enough for Jacksonville to potentially win the division. And on top of that, this roster isn't all that bad. It's way better than what it was last season. If you're making a list of the most improved teams heading into this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars have to be on this list because this was a team that only won 3 games last season. So you bring in Christian Kirk, you have Marvin Jones there, you have a pretty solid group of wide receivers, not great, but not awful. You get what I'm saying? You don't have a lot of depth there, but you do have playmakers out there. Okay, it's way better than what you had last season. Did you guys know that the Jacksonville Jaguars had Tavon Austin catching touchdowns for them last season? When is the last time you heard that name? Probably 2012 and 2013. It's been a very long time since we heard the name Tavon Austin. And Laquan Treadwell. Laquan freaking Treadwell. These were the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 wide receivers who they had catching passes last year. It was that bad. So their offensive line isn't that bad neither. It's decent. And I'm going to live and die on that hill. I think that Jacksonville's offense is going to be okay this year. And I really like the fact that Travis Etienne returns. He's been making a lot of noise so far throughout training camp for Jacksonville. My only concern that I have with the Jaguars offense is right tackle. I don't know if Jawan Taylor is going to hold up. And we're going to have to see if Walker Little can end up competing for that starting job at right tackle and maybe giving better play at that position. But outside of that, I think the Jaguars have a pretty decent offense. I'm not saying that it's super talented. All I'm saying is that it's decent. And the defense also has improved also. You bring in Foye Oluokun at running back. You drafted Trayvon Walker, who has a lot of upside. The secondary has improved. You got Tyson Campbell, who had a really underrated rookie season last year in 2021. We talk about some of the best rookie cornerbacks, such as Patrick Surtain and whatnot. Tyson Campbell also should be in that conversation. And you also have Shaquille Griffin, So Darius Williams comes in. He most likely is going to be a slot corner. You don't like safety at all. Okay, safety does not really look all that promising. But outside of that, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, best case scenario, could win 9 games. And potentially they could compete for the division title because there are teams such as the Colts, Tennessee, and Houston that we're going to talk about later that really aren't all that great. So my worst case scenario for Jacksonville this year, 4-13. And the reason why I say 4-13 is because the offensive line, maybe it still doesn't play up to the level that I think it's capable of playing at, and it could be really bad. Then on top of that, on defense, I'm not really all that thrilled about the interior of the defensive line. And also, when you look at Trayvon Walker was drafted more for the upside. He's still pretty raw. He still has a lot of things that he has to work on. So he may not pop as a rookie right away. He may be somebody who only maybe gives you 3-4 sacks. He might not come in and give you a 9 or 10 sack season right off the back, or 10 sack season, right away. So it may take a couple of years for him to pop off. And also, Jacksonville hasn't really been great when it comes to the recent play at linebacker based off last season. Plus, Foye Oluokun, he's really good against the run, but he's not all that great in pass coverage. And I don't think cornerback is going to be an issue, but the back end of that secondary at safety, it really gives me nightmares. So 4-13 as my worst case scenario. Maybe Doug Pederson is the wrong hire and this offense doesn't improve. Trevor Lawrence continues to struggle. Year 2, 4-13. Now my overall record prediction for Jacksonville is going to be 6-11. Because you look at their schedule, I definitely think that there are a good amount of winnable games on this schedule. Okay, you play Washington week 1. I think that's pretty winnable. You have a good chance to split with every team in this division. Indianapolis, the Colts, the Titans. I don't really think that Jacksonville should get swept by any of those 3 teams this year. You got the New York Giants at home. Then you also have Detroit on the road late in the season, along with the New York Jets on a short week Thursday night. So you have a pretty manageable schedule. There are a lot of teams on this list or on this schedule who probably will struggle to get to at least 500. So I think for Jacksonville, 6-11 is going to be my record prediction for them in 2022. I think that they can split with every team in this division. So if you're able to do that, that's 3 wins, okay? Then if you could beat the Jets, beat Detroit, beat the New York Giants, that's also additional 3 wins there. There you go. There's your 6 potential wins. And as I mentioned earlier, I feel with how this division looks right now, there is a path, and I don't think a lot of people are giving Jacksonville a fair shot, that this team really has a legitimate shot at winning this division. It's not me being overly optimistic. It's not me overrating Jacksonville. Look at this division. Not really all that great. Every team in this division has concerns on the offensive line. Every team in this division is kind of lacking proven talent and depth at wide receiver. It's like, I think with Jacksonville, if Trevor Lawrence, and when he does take that next step this year, if he ends up becoming the best quarterback in this division, I definitely feel that the Jacksonville Jaguars' chances of winning this division improves dramatically. But you guys let me know your record prediction for the Jacksonville Jaguars down in the comment section down below.